That was our only inspiration, to offer her the responses that she merited, as he was the expected objective of this assault and the main individual who was shot. Puffy has been bringing in cash off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive, 26 years. Years after the lamentable shooting in Los Angeles that ended the existence of Biggie Smalls. The police appeared to have lost all desire to settle this case. Yet Biggie's mom, Voletta Wallace, is constantly attempting to get to the reality behind that appalling evening. Also, given the radiance of recently surfaced proof, she is extremely hopeful about the rest being made soon. Furthermore, she even made a few stunning disclosures, expecting that the individual captured would be nonetheless Biggie's previous chief and music magnate Diddy brushes, since it's he who she faults for what had befallen her child. Individuals need to see that piece of him that no other person knew. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to our Fame Reporter YouTube channel. It's been very nearly 30 years since that deadly night on April 9, 1997, yet questions actually swirl over who was liable for recruiting a contract killer to weaponize the rap legend Biggie Smalls. While a few groups have been blamed and some high-profile figures have been named as the coordinators of this wrongdoing, no arrests have been made. In any case, Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, is presently approaching with additional disclosures. Furthermore, it seems like in the radiance of the recently returned instance of Tupac's shooting, she offered stunning subtleties to the police about Diddy's conceivable contribution in ending the existence of her dearest child. We know nothing about a significant number of these groups. Voletta has forever been thinking that Diddy was abusing her child, and notwithstanding marking Big Deal as his craftsman and working with him, it seemed like the music tycoon was utilizing him to get income. Indeed, even in her book, she references that Big Deal erroneously accepted that Puffy was his companion. Truly, Christopher acknowledged the deception of a companion and guide for about $25,000. That is the sum Puffy tricked my child with. It was sufficient cash to cause my child to accept that Puffy was prepared to do anything for him. Presently, Voletta Wallace has forever been attempting to find more truth about Diddy's contribution to her child's lamentable downfall and thinking that the music magnate took care of the police and the observers who could reveal more insight into this wrongdoing. She even sued the part, accepting that they'd been purposefully hauling the case strangely for this long. While the offender behind gunning down her 24-year-old child is still out and partaking in his extravagant way of life. What's more, they recently continued to hit a large number of road obstructions after the barricade. All of their observers were being disparaged. It took Voletta Wallace a great deal of time and cash to fabricate her hypothesis, and eventually she is persuaded that she knows the name of the individual who wished to end her child's thriving years. What's more, she even faulted the Lapt for covering all the uncovering that could prompt the possible offender behind this wrongdoing. I have a generally excellent thought who went alive to Christopher, as she stated. What's more, I truly accept that the space knows precisely who did as well. As per her, there is an immense group attempting to conceal reality from her and every one of the enthusiasts of her child, and the police assume a part in covering the lawbreakers and purposefully deceptive legitimate officials who maintain that a fair outcome should be given. As Voletta said in one of her assertions, they've done their examination, however, they simply decline to push ahead. I don't have the foggiest idea why they haven't captured who's included. I can't help suspecting that it's one monster scheme, and somebody is certainly being safeguarded someplace down the line. At last, after so long of delaying, Voletta can finally accept reality since the hypotheses about the extra proof have been found. While everybody around her was urging her to push ahead since the case appeared to be essentially downright frigid somewhere inside, this lady realized reality would be out eventually. What's more, would it be advisable for me to embrace it? I, for one, can't. The fact that there were so many secrets and lies in this situation just made Voletta dig further and direct her own examinations. What's more, while conversing with many individuals who knew her child and even were at the location of crime that grievous evening, she reached the conclusion that the individual who'd been altering observers and proof was nonetheless Biggie's tutor, thus called companion Diddy. Also, for over 20 years, he's been quieting this case to keep his name clear. I'm fighting for my standing. I'm a battle for the fair man. I'm the honorable lord that I am. Obviously, Voletta Wallace isn't quick to say something regarding Biggie's killing, and she definitely won't be the last. Notwithstanding, what causes many fans to accept that Biggie's death was really valuable for his tutor is the way that he raked in some serious cash by taking advantage of his inheritance. As one individual remarked, "I have consistently had that hunch." In the event that Diddy has a say in this, it generally feels like Diddy is being eclipsed by Biggie. Furthermore, another client added, "It's insane the way that Diddy got more cash flow off Big Deal's name than Biggie made while he was alive." Presently, Valletta expresses that in spite of being Biggie's tutor and maker and furthermore being available at the location of that disastrous shooting, Diddy is really keeping a ton of things concealed about that evening. However, he doesn't actually have to affirm against himself in light of the fact that others previously did it for him. What's more, you truly need to figure out reality. You really want to get as many alternate points of view on things as you can. Diddy wasn't the only individual who was available at the location of the crime that evening. Furthermore, the Music Portable's quality arrangement previously made an appearance to express his viewpoint about the irregularities his supervisor had shared with him that night. In one of his meetings, Quality shared the subtleties of Biggie's last minutes from his perspective. Also, clearly, there were many hints that highlighted Diddy's association with the obscure story. As Quality arrangements said, there were numerous dubious things, despite the fact that he didn't speak straightforwardly. Fault his ex-supervisor for recruiting a pack to execute his own craftsman. Every one of his decisions led to this. As The Guardian said, maintaining the mystery while watching Biggie's mother cry and request equity was a lot for him. "I wouldn't place anyone from my point of view since I don't feel like they could deal with it." Gene Dale reviewed the subtleties of the Walk 1997 evening, and what is the most surprising in this story. He said that his chief, Puffy, didn't believe his guardian should go along with them on a deadly ride before we left. Andre Harrell's home Puff let me know I didn't need to go. Now I went on the grounds that I realized that someone planned to spend the evening away. Someone planned to have a chance. Clearly, Diddy had made plans ahead of time, and he didn't need more observers who could later blame him for being engaged in this wrongdoing. Furthermore, it doesn't seem to be a coincidence for Gene Dale that Diddy was attempting to have as few observers as conceivable during that evening. What's more, here's another sign that makes everybody, including Valletta Wallace, accept that Biggie's lethal shooting was the consequence of his horrible coach's arrangement. As indicated by Gene Dale, the late rapper wanted to leave terrible kid records behind for a more ideal arrangement somewhere else not long before his shocking downfall. Biggie took action to leave the terrible kid for a more rewarding arrangement worth more than $60 million. Share your considerations in the remarks underneath. I'm anxious to understand what you're thinking. What's more, meanwhile, really look at my different recordings about the clouded side of the hip bounce industry. Indeed, that is totally supportive of today. I am very grateful to you for watching. Remain tuned, and I vow to be back very soon.